Hey everyone, Lisa Resnick with The Real Tea with a few technical difficulties before starting today. Sarah's been awesome. Sarah here with Healthy Community Partnerships. Say hey, Sarah.
Hello, everybody.
So Sarah is a huge community advocate and player in the Valley, not just the downtown area, pretty much everywhere. Anywhere you can drive within 40 minutes.
I think that's pretty accurate, yeah.
So I wanted Sarah on today so she could talk about the other players that we have in the field when it comes to the economy, which of course impacts the real estate. Everything is interconnected together. And I do think that there should be more of a clear understanding of everybody's part that pretty much makes the whole.
Yeah, so the quick version of the Healthy Community Partnership, so we're supported through the Community Foundation of the Mahoning Valley and more recently the Mercy Health Foundation. And, you know, health is in our name, but so is community. And what we're really trying to, pardon the pun, drive home is that everyone has a role to play in making a community healthy. And certainly we're thinking about healthy communities in terms of individuals' ability to be, physically and mentally healthy and well, and to thrive and to have access to opportunity. But we're not, only talking about healthy communities in that, individual sense. We also want to make sure that, as a community, as a group, as a whole, what are we doing and how are we making sure that those investments are benefiting everybody? We're talking about, certainly there's a lot of buzz around infrastructure and investment, through the American Rescue Plan Act. So how can we use these opportunities to really think about benefiting people, both, individually, but also collectively thinking about neighborhoods and communities. So we know that those decisions are not made only by any one entity or any one sector. Everyone has a role to play there.
Right.
From resident leaders and neighborhood associations to churches to our economic development groups, community development groups. Everyone has a role here. So we're trying to really weave together that fabric of community to show that everyone has a role to play to make our communities and to make decisions with health in the front of our minds.
And it's great that you mentioned that. It's great that you mentioned the different players that do come to the forefront when you're talking about your health. I mean, it's kind of like when we partnered together and we started working on the Walk Youngstown campaign. I mean, both of us had different thoughts in the forefront of what we'd like to see, but ultimately the end result is the same.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'm glad that you mentioned Walk Youngstown. So, it occurred to me, as I was thinking about preparing for this conversation, we just celebrated 2 years of, Walk Youngstown and the efforts through the signs and getting the noon walks up and running. And in that 2 years, we've seen that initial investment in time and modest investment of resources grow. So Walk Youngstown is now Walk the Valley. We have a walk or a ride. So bike rides are included now. That's too. Right. Every day of the week, there's something for somebody to get involved in, and we're continuing to expand to more communities and more locations in communities and getting more people out and active. Which again, anything that the partnership does has at least a handful of different benefits. So yes, being out and being active certainly has physical health benefits for individuals. There's also mental health benefits. A modest amount of walking a day has, significant benefits for memory, stress reduction, improving anxiety, which, it's been a challenging couple. Yeah, it's been a challenging year and a half. So, more people are walking, which is great. And, we're seeing that expansion. But, in addition to the, health benefits, which of course is a focus, the focus for the partnership, we also know if you have more walkable accessible and welcoming communities, it has a benefit certainly for the business community. And there is an economic impact, which, we've, through the Walk Youngstown efforts have talked about. If you're able to slow people down and get them out of their cars, and interacting with each other and with, the community, you're much more likely to see that small business that you would have otherwise just driven by.
It's so true. And I do think that there's a major difference in making sure that you're focusing in on that and the walkability versus traffic counts. Pedestrian counts should be the focus. Like if you're thinking downtown Youngstown, you shouldn't be talking about the traffic counts when it comes to downtown. You should be talking about the amount of employees, the amount of residents, the people who are out walking about. Now, if you're talking about 224, 100% I can see why you would talk about traffic counts. But knowing the difference between the two and where to focus our attentions is needs to be done.
Yeah, and I know that in some of these conversations, we the partnership try to so many puns today, steer clear of pitting one method of transportation against another. Really at the end of the day, when we're talking about concepts or policies like complete streets or other infrastructure related decisions, we really want to make the case that any decision about infrastructure investment or transportation should be done with people in mind first. So how can we, make our communities or roads, our transportation pathways safer and more accessible for everybody, regardless of how they are traveling? So pedestrians, yes, of course. Cyclists, folks who are using public transportation, but also, people who are, traveling in their personal vehicles. We want to make sure that, especially with these opportunities, coming through some of these federal investments, that we're thinking very intentionally about how to use them to make the built environment safer for anyone who is using it. And, mentioning 224, it is very different, a situation, like that, or, looking at 422 in Warren, where you have, a lot of, development and retail, and it's spread out a little more than, say, in a downtown situation in Warren or Youngstown. But folks are still walking. And, we should be thinking about how can we, make those spaces where we see that happening a little safer. That's certainly something that we're thinking about. And, there's folks who may choose to or be more interested in walking, even from in a small sense, from destination to destination in a variety of settings, if it was safer to do so. So is there sidewalks? Is there lighting? Is there a way to do that? And you're right, it's not correct. Are there crosswalks? Are there pedestrian cross, signals? Are they timed appropriately so that if you have a stroller or you're, in some kind of, you need assistance to move from place to place, can you get there safely? So you're right. Not all situations are treated the same, but I guess our main argument as far as that goes is think about people first when making decisions, and then everybody will stand to benefit.
I agree completely. And you did touch on, for those out there that have never heard of the term complete streets, you did mention a lot of those items that are all part of a new way of looking at infrastructure. When you're talking about infrastructure improvements that are made within the city or suburbia, or even when you think about the Western Reserve expansion, like all those little opportunities that we have when we are doing the work to better the traditional infrastructure thoughts, to include the new infrastructure, and that is the sidewalks, the pedestrian, making sure that crosswalks are audio and visual and provide enough time for people to cross the streets, and keeping people in mind, everything else will follow suit. And I can tell you, on the economic and the real estate portion of it, it makes our jobs a hell of a lot easier when we have those other other items such as complete streets in play because it's just much more marketable. And I think you even know the whole walk score.
Yeah,
right?
I was just going to say a friend of mine moved from the Valley to another community in another state. And, she was sharing that one of the things she was looking at was the walk score, for her new community. And there's a lot of folks of, various, backgrounds and ages and, experiences that are, paying a little more attention to that information, when they are looking for to relocate to a new community. So how accessible are things? How can I get from place to place? Do I have to, get in a car? Do I have to pay for parking? Or can I walk? Or can I bike? Or what is public transportation like? So, there's a lot of those decisions, again, at an individual level, but, thinking again about economic development, having more opportunities for folks to get to your business, is attractive for you as an employer and, for employees too.
So Sarah, if I had a project that I needed funded, how would I go about tapping into the community foundation to be able to help support?
Sure. So the Community Foundation, we have a variety of fund holders within the foundation. And we actually, this year, have a new grants portal on our website. So I would encourage folks who are, nonprofits and interested in getting involved in some of these efforts to improve, health and quality of life, to check out that website. Everything goes through that grants portal. We do have, and those organizations that support the Healthy Community Partnership have a health focus. But again, it's health in its broadest terms. So how do we create a community that encourages residents and everyone to be healthier? So I would say, go to the Community Foundation's website, cfmv.org. There's a little tab that says grants and scholarships. You would click on the apply for a grant. And it will take you through the process to screen eligibility for the various funds. We do have a cycle open now that closes October 1st. So I would encourage folks, that are interested in, creating healthier communities, whether that's looking at active transportation and walking and biking, or interested also in another area, green spaces, that we pay attention to, which is very connected to walkability. If you have that welcoming green space, there's also economic benefits to that too, in addition to health and environmental, of course. Or, food access is also something that we care very much about, with the work of the partnership, and is also connected to, having a healthy and thriving community. So any of those things or other, projects that you have in mind that would have an impact positively on the community, I would say check out the foundation's website, acclimate yourself with that portal. And I do have a colleague here who is much more hands-on with that process, and she's happy to talk to anyone who's interested.
That is awesome. Thank you so much. And thank you for bearing with me as I went through my difficulties running around trying to figure out how I can make
we
sure
have all been there.
Visual is a little off for me. You look beautiful, but that's all right.
It's the warm lighting.
It's nice. I have none. All right. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you for the opportunity, Lisa. Appreciate it.
And real quick, Wednesday walks.
Yes. So one of the walks is on Wednesday. There's a group that meets at the Mocha House in downtown Youngstown. Very easy and accessible for all ages, abilities of walkers. Tends to be about 30 minutes, so we get in a nice mile without chewing up the entire lunch hour. So Wednesdays at noon at the Mocha House, we hope to see you there.
Yes, and it is like you have an opportunity to network at the same time as walk, which is perfect. All
Absolutely.
Right.
Thank you, Lisa.
All right, bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for watching the video. Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that little bell for notifications. And also make sure to connect with us on Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn. For all of your business news, visit businessjournaldaily.com. For all of your arts and entertainment news, go to afterhoursyoungstown.com.